Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Freedom Filled Life podcast. I'm your host, Shay Brown, co-founder of the Bucket List Bombshells, where we serve women who are building, growing, and scaling service-based online businesses. Now, today I'm sitting down with Jenny Roth, and she is a former Bucket List Bombshells Academy student. So I'm really excited to hear more about her journey in the copywriting world. So she is an email copywriting expert, and we're going to be talking about things that can help you in your business around that topic of copywriting, as well as launches and a couple other fun items that we're going to get into today. So without further ado, Jenny, I would love to know, before we dive into your full story, can you tell us a little bit about the business that you own and the services that you offer?
Yeah. Hi, Shay. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. Yeah, it's like Shay said, my name is Jenny Roth, and so I own an email marketing and launch copy studio. So our clients are mostly female-founded brands and e-commerce companies. We kind of have two branches to our services. So one is email marketing, like done for you email copy. We track the data to see what's working in your emails. We meet with you once a month or quarter to plan your email strategy and write that and execute that. The second is launch copy, and we work with clients in a variety of ways, whether it's like a sales page in a week, or I get paid when you do launch copy, where we take a percentage of the sales we earn in the launch. And then with that, we also have email insiders, where for $8 a month, you get a new email newsletter template every single week, and we do copy reviews on your emails in there, and also quarterly email sequence template. So really just serving businesses with copy and email, and launching has been what I've dedicated my time to these past few years.
Wow, amazing. So many
Yeah.
things I feel like you're offering within that. I love it. Like, just a really well-rounded suite of services. And I am excited to talk you through a little bit about email sequences with launches and evergreen, something that Cassie and I are very familiar with doing. But
Yes.
before we do that, I'd love to know, like, what motivated you to start your own business rather than going that traditional career route?
Yeah, honestly, my husband and I had three little girls very young. I think we were like
Mm,
24 years old, and we had these three little girls. So I was done with university, but I wasn't so deep in my career where I felt like I couldn't leave, like I was so invested and couldn't leave. And so I decided to take care of our girls full time. And I did that. And when I found pockets of my day, I'd be scrolling Facebook and thinking, or cleaning my house and thinking, like, I've got to do something else. Even if I just have 1 hour a day, it's got to be something I can do from home, something I love doing, and
mm,
something that can help other people. I've always been good at writing. I started pitching myself to local magazines to write articles. I think I was getting paid like $50 an article or something. I worked my way up to being an editor of one of those magazines pretty quickly. And I started to realize that my favorite part was we would go into these businesses, brick and mortar businesses in my community, and I would interview the business owner and hear their story about like how they got to where they are today, everything they went through, how they built this thing, the challenges they've overcome, just their whole business story. And some of these were businesses I'd been going into for like my whole life. And I'm like, no idea. People need to know this about you. I just feel like I knew the business on a whole different level and so much more connected to them and invested as their customer and their success too, right? And
mm.
so we were writing these stories for business owners in this local magazine. They would send us thank yous like, thanks so much for writing that article. We've seen an uptick in traffic. We just love it. And I just started to realize this is a thing. Like this is a thing I can do, and it's called copywriting. And I can write for businesses and tell their stories and help them market and sell with their words and connect their offers to the people who need them. And I can do all the things I wanted to do, work from home or work from anywhere, which for me at the time was at home with my three little kids. And I can really make a difference for people. So dove in to learn everything about copywriting, every course, everything I possibly could, pitched myself to some clients, got some clients, and have just slowly built a business over time, really on referrals and pitching and collaborating.
I love that. How exciting. And like, honestly, pitching and referrals and collaboration are such great avenues of getting clients, and something I'm seeing really work better and better in kind of today's landscape as well. So love hearing that that's a strategy that worked for you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Even today in my business, so many years in, if I need new leads, just for anybody listening, I kind of thought there would come a time where maybe I wouldn't pitch myself. Like I'd get there where leads just flowed to me endlessly. never have to do much. But honestly, pitching, finding people I can actually help and reaching out to them, being like, hey, I love what you do, and I think I can help you do this as well. Are you interested? Has been my biggest way to get clients
Mhm.
and still continues to be today.
Yeah, yeah, same. That's exactly when I was building my service-based business, exactly how I did it. I reached out, I
Yeah.
pitched them, and it all worked out from there. And but like you said, you do kind of have to keep pitching. So whether that's referrals, which is what I ended up doing as well, with incentivizing my current clients, past clients to send me leads, that's ended up being pretty much the mainstream of my revenue was coming from the referrals. But I still did consistent pitching throughout the weeks and months to get booked out, because that's a lot of kind of the strategies that I really used. Was like, I really like the security of being booked out in advance for like 3, 6, 12 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And even if you just take however many, one day a week or however many hours a week to do your pitching, it just feels like, so what if you don't post on Instagram? So what if you don't
Yeah,
do a blog
exactly.
post that week? You did your marketing and you did
Yeah.
your lead gen, right? And so,
Yeah.
and having a great referral system has also helped me. Could not agree more.
I love that. I love that. So, getting into today's topic, I was wondering if you can walk us through the difference between email sequences for launches versus evergreen, and maybe for our listeners, even touching briefly on what a launch is and what evergreen means.
Yeah, of course. So launching to me means you have a specific offer and you are promoting it on a cart open, cart closed period, right? So you have a limited time to enroll in that offer. And maybe it is an evergreen offer, but for your launch, you're doing something special to launch it, whether that's a discount, adding in some extra bonuses that you don't normally do throughout the year. To me, that's a launch. And evergreen to me means it's always open. You can sign up and enroll and enjoy anytime. There's no time limit on it. You can hop in whenever. So that's the difference between the two.
Yeah, love that. And so when it comes to the difference between like email sequences, how do you go about creating, or sort of what are your strategies to use for, say, a launch with that open close offer, juicy bonuses structure versus evergreen, which is something that's more, say, selling on autopilot every month?
Yeah, I love this question. So let's start with the launch. So if you're launching something with a cart open, cart closed period, for me, a huge, like very important, sometimes often overlooked part of launching is what I call like the pre-launch, which is starts, it depends on your offer and price point, of course, but think about like 4 weeks before you actually open the cart on that offer. Think of yourself as in like pre-launch mode. And in pre-launch mode, you are not just like educating, giving value or hinting or showing your expertise. You're telling people like, hey, you're selling your offer. Like I have this offer, and whether you're going to open it on a webinar or a wait list or however you're going to do it, masterclass, you are essentially selling it and building the hype and building the wait list so that when a cart actually opens on that day, people aren't just hearing about it for the first time. You've done a lot of heavy lifting before that. So when cart opens, they're like, I've been waiting for this day. Like I have it on my calendar. I want to jump in, right? So in that pre-launch mode, you're walking them through the offer. You are showing all the benefits. To pick any module, any call inside that offer, write an email about it, the transformation, the benefit, the result your client's going to get. Tell your story, why you created it, overcome objections, answer questions. I don't know a better word to use, but like romanticize the heck out of your offer and like build the hype out of it so that when that card is open, people already know. And then of course, when the card is open, like a typical launch sequence, I guess I don't want to like make general recommendations because everyone's offer is like different, but I would keep my cart open and closed for like about a week. I wouldn't extend it for like weeks on end because I feel like you will just literally exhaust yourself being in launch mode for that long. So cart is open, you're selling your offer promise. Maybe you have a fast action bonus that you're selling in there for those people who are going to sign up in the first 24 hours. And then while your cart is open, you can send up to 2 or 3 emails a day, as long as, you're always, again, overcoming objections, sharing client wins, answering questions, giving them a red carpet tour of what's inside the offer. You can throw bonuses in the middle. You can have a closing bonus if you want to, but most importantly, just always selling your offer promise and your offer. That's a launch sequence. That's how I write them. Yeah.
That's so great. And then when it comes to Evergreen, how are we doing emails for that? Are you setting them up automation style? Are you recommending that people are sending broadcasts for those? What's kind of the structure that you like to recommend for emails for Evergreen?
Yeah. So if you have an evergreen offer, let's say you have one that's like $1,500 or less, let's just give it that price point. I've seen and helped build really successful funnels, which means they come into a lead magnet. Master classes and free webinars, from what I've seen, still seem to be doing the best as far as a lead magnet at the top of an offer. So they join your free thing, and then they get an automated sequence of emails that goes out after your free thing to sign up for your offer on Evergreen. And so I mean, an important part of that is driving traffic into that funnel. Like, it sounds easy peasy, but like, you're either going to be running ads or doing a lot of organic marketing. Either way, maybe both, to get new leads into that funnel to sell your evergreen offer. And then, so I have some clients who have even higher ticket evergreen offers, like maybe a mastermind that's always open, or maybe even like a low ticket membership that's always open. So what we do for that is sometimes we'll take an evergreen offer and we'll launch it once a month or once a quarter, meaning like you can always join, but this quarter, kind of like what we said at the top of the conversation, when you join this quarter, you get this really special bonus. And it's a really, really good bonus that incentivizes you to sign up. So we launch it, and also we just tell them about it in our emails, especially if it's a membership or like a course or something they can always be joining and their list is always growing. We'll send 2 or 3 emails a week, just highlighting that evergreen offer.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what Cass and I have done in the past with our launches and our evergreen for our course content. I know there's a lot of course creators recently that have been entering into our community, and I've been loving it, helping them get their courses off the ground. And I thought that was, I think that's great advice that you just shared for those listening who are even doing courses, masterminds, low ticket offers, anything there. For service-based businesses, how do you structure launches or evergreen for service-based businesses who are looking to get clients, but maybe they only have a certain amount of spots? So for example, a digital product, we can sell as many spots as we want. How, as service-based business owners, do we just keep structures like that for launching our evergreen when we only have X amount of spots to fill?
Yeah, I love this question because I'm a service-based business essentially. Yeah. And so what I do is I look at my quarter, and I do this for my clients too. I look at my quarter and I think, what service do I want to fill? And I usually pick like 1 or 2 that I feel like I'm going to launch them. And then essentially I'll do a launch on it, right? I will email my list 2 or 3 times a week. I will do a full cart open close if it's not full by then. So I really think of service-based businesses. If email marketing is a pathway you want to use to fill that business, to think of your service that you provide as an offer and launch it to your audience and promote it just like you would a course or anything else. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. And for those of you who have masterminds, like Cass and I have Scale with Purpose Mastermind, same concept. We have X amount of spots, we do a launch. And then if those spots don't get filled within that launch, then we just continue through Evergreen, whether that's email marketing or other posting to say, hey, we still have 2 spots. Come on in, grab a sales call. Let's chat. So I think that's great. Yeah, for service-based. Thank you so much. Because I do get that question. And I think people have the misconception that email marketing, when it comes to launches, or Evergreen, which is essentially just marketing your products or services in between big, hypey launches, is only reserved for digital products, but it can be used for service-based as well. And I think that's not talked about as much in terms of like, do a launch. You have 5 spots, great, do a launch, get booked out. But that means that you do have to have an email list to send those emails to. And I think, what would your opinion be for a service-based business owner? Like, what is the best way to grow that email list so that they can do a launch for their services?
Yeah, such a good question. And just thinking about that, I just wrote a launch for like a brand strategist, right? Or a funnel. So it's like a masterclass to email funnel to her brand strategy done for you services that she runs ads to and books through that way. And it's priced at about $1,200 for like a it's like a intensive, a call, a 2-hour
Mhm.
call. So people are definitely doing that for service-based businesses as well. And so, sorry, I forgot the second part of your question because I went on that side note.
Oh yeah, no, my question was more about like what are the best strategies for getting new subscriber, new leads to join? Because I do find that the women in our community that I'm chatting with, they are trying to list build. They want to do a launch for their services, but their lists just aren't growing. So it sounds like one of your suggestions was maybe a master class.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So suggestions to grow a list. So
Yeah.
this is what's worked for me. Collaborating has worked
Okay.
insanely well for me to grow my list. So what that means is, and Kylie Kelly, we can link to her here. She has a membership called, I think it's called the Spotlight Club. And every month it's super cheap. It's like $19 a month to join. And every month she'll give you a new strategy for growing your email list, which is like joining a bundle with somebody else, doing a lead magnet swap with somebody else, doing podcast guesting like this.
Right.
All those kinds of organic ways to grow your list. Obviously, you can run ads. I'm not an expert on running ads. Usually, when I work with a client who's doing that, they just need the copy and we come in and fill it in. So I've never personally ran ads for myself. I know it's something that you can do. But for me, yeah, that collaborating with others and borrowing other people's audiences has worked really, really great to grow my email list. And if you don't want to make a masterclass or a lead magnet because you're just not even sure how to even go about that and you don't want to even do that, another strategy that I really love is to make your newsletter the incentive to get on your email list, right? So my newsletter is called If I Was Your Copywriter. And for example, and like every week you get like tips on writing your best copy. And I have the subheading way better than that, but I can't think of it off the
Yeah.
top of my head. But I really like promote like getting on the email list as like the thing. So whatever you help your clients with, whatever they're coming to you for, I wrote one for a lawyer that was like legal advice you don't have to pay a lawyer for. And so that was his email newsletter name. And he promoted that like, hey, I give legal advice you don't have to pay a lawyer for on this email list, join, right? So you can just set up that really simple wherever Flowdesk, where you're building your email community, set up that capture form, share why getting on your newsletter is so great, name your newsletter, and you can promote it that way as well without a lead magnet.
Yeah, so great. Thank you. So getting back kind of more into the meat and potatoes of email marketing, can you share with us the key elements of a high converting email structure?
Like for the body of the email itself.
Yeah, I'm thinking like copy, link placements, use of images, buttons, fonts, whatever it is. I'm just very curious from a copywriter's perspective. Are we just doing plain text or are we like, what are these like elements that really lead to higher conversions in an email?
Yeah, so good. Okay, so powerful subject line that matches the body of the email is really important. If you're getting high opens but low click rates in your emails, double check that if you're promising in your subject line 5K months for virtual assistants, make sure your body of your email gives them 5K months, how to get 5K months for virtual assistants. So check that out. Okay. So good subject line that is clear and succinct and powerful and lets them know what's inside the email. The job of your subject line is to get them to open the email, right? So inside an email, like especially if you're in a launch or a sales email, I like to put a pre-PS at the top, right? So before they get into the body of the email, it's like pre-PS, this is open right now. And when you join, this is what's going to happen for you. Click here to learn more. And then you get into the body of your email, and we can talk a little bit about the structure of that too. But as far as like how you set up the body text in your email, I always tell people left align things, don't center align things. So like left align your text. Font, I would say at least 18. I've always been taught like nobody reads small font, and I think it might be true. So make sure it's a good readable font that's big enough in a readable color. Your body text, and then always have a PS, right? Like your PS is kind of like to back up the pitch inside your email as well. So that's kind of how I structure the meat and potatoes inside an email.
Yeah, fantastic. Loved your advice around the subject line. And that actually kind of leads into my next question. So I've seen so many strategies on how to get higher open rates. I definitely know that it has to do with the subject line, as well as even we do like a little it's called a pre-header text. So almost like a little snippet you can see before you open. Our open rates are so high, and that was over years of really learning how to write really fantastic subject lines. But I'd love to know your advice for getting higher click-through rates inside the emails. Like, what are the strategies that you recommend?
Yeah. So whenever I see somebody with great open rates and who wants to boost their click rates, I look at a couple of things. The first one is, like we talked about, that subject line. Is the subject line relevant to the content inside the email? If that's good, then we look at a couple other things. So maybe if people are opening but not clicking, they just need more info. That could be part of it too. Like maybe they're reading and they're deciding, right? So maybe they just need an email and a little bit more time. And I always tell like clients and myself, like the launch is launching, keep emailing, they're opening, they're not clicking, but they obviously want to hear from you. So as silly as it sounds, send another email. Another thing that I've been doing with my clients is if you consistently, especially if you have a small list in the capacity to do this, if you have people who are always opening your emails, but not clicking, I would do a personal reach out to them in the DMs or through email and just be like, hey, I noticed that you're really following along this offer that I'm promoting right now. And this is what I do. And I've looked into you a little bit and I think I could help you this way. Would you like to hear more? Sometimes, as silly as it sounds, people just forget. I mean, you get a million emails like every day, maybe not a million, but a lot. Sometimes people just forget, and sometimes people just need to be invited and need to hear from you that you actually, in a world where everything wants to be so automatic and so like systemized, like to actually hear from somebody, it can go a long way. And I've seen it do wonders in launches for clients. Another thing I look at, if open rates are good, but click rates aren't quite where they need to be, is like literally 99% of the time, it's a great email, but the pitch needs to be stronger. The part of email where you're selling the offer, that's kind of when we're writing our copy where we get in our head and we kind of shrink a little bit. We like don't want to be like too bold, and we don't want to really be too braggy and all of those things. And so I read a lot of emails that are good until you get to the pitch or the offer promise, and it just needs to be more clear, more compelling. It needs to be a measurable offer promise. And just an overall stronger pitch. I also think people should know a click rate of 1% to 2% is about industry standard. So you might not be doing as bad as you think.
I know. I think it always blows people's mind, especially when I get into talking about sales conversion rates. And I'm like, the industry standard for courses is 2.5%. And they're like, wait, what? I mean, of course, there's ones that have been higher. We've had much higher ones than that during course launches. And it comes down to email marketing and as well as like your sales page and stuff. You can move that needle. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into that conversion rate. But I think having that realistic kind of benchmark as well to say, oh, okay, that's the industry standard. Great. I'm on par with that. Let me continue to work on getting that increase. So the same for click-through rates in emails. But I love that advice around the pitch. And I think that was super spot on for one of like the major improvements that someone could make is when they get to that pitch, if those click-through rates are low, strengthening that up, being more clear. Love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, oftentimes people are, when they get to the pitch, they start being like, and you get the workbook and you get this great module. And when you join, it's going to be, they get very vague instead of really like stepping into that place of like, thinking of your ideal client and how incredible this offer can be from her and like selling it and being brave enough to tell it. And I also think your relationships you build outside of your email list matter too, right? Because if the people on your list have seen you speak on a podcast or YouTube or in a collab, they already kind of know, like, trust you. And I think that does a lot to boost those click rates too.
So great. So great. So another question that I get commonly asked, and I wanted your opinion on, is when it comes to the length and amount of content inside an email, whether that's in launching or just a regular newsletter, what in your opinion performs better, or what have you seen perform better, long form or short form?
Yeah, I think it depends on the list. I've seen both work really well as long as you're selling an offer promise that your client wants. You can't sell anything to somebody if they don't want it. So if you very much have done your work and know your market research and your ideal client and how your offer and the promise that you're delivering in that offer meets them where they're at, that is like some very foundational work that will go a long way, no matter if you're emailing or writing a sales page or whatever you're doing. So as far as like length of email, mix it up and test. I mean, I don't worry about that so much. I worry about getting the message across that I'm trying to say in the email. Sometimes you could do a quick 9-second read. Like today I'm going to give you this really quick tip. If you want more tips like that, join my membership. You could try that, right? I wouldn't worry about the length as much as the relevance of the email to your reader.
And I wanted to chat about segmentation. So I wanted to know from your perspective what you have seen or kind of what you work with in terms of segmentation. So are you sending out, say, launch emails or newsletter emails to every subscriber you have in your email list? Or, and when you're working with clients, are you recommending that we segment down and we really target in the content that we're sending to specific audiences? Let's say, for example, they opt in, they want to know more about your courses, and then another person opts in and they want to know more about your one-on-one services. Are you sending different emails to those people? Are you putting them through different automations? Give me your insights on segmentation.
Yeah. I'm a very lazy segmenter because I really think like, why not send the email to the entire list? Unless you're launching something and somebody buys it, well, then obviously segment them, tag them out so they don't have to like hear the rest. But otherwise, I say launch to your whole list and don't overthink segmenting. Of course, like say, for example, I've had clients before who are photographers, and one part of their business is like for photography clients, and then another part is like they're launching a course for photographers, like education side of their business. Obviously, if you have like two very distinct ways people opt into your list and they don't mesh really at all, of them, of course, like segment and do your launch for your photographers or for your families you photograph. That makes total sense. You can also, I work with a lot of clients who maybe have, and they're more established, but they maybe have different master classes that funnel into different offers based on like price points so they could serve a variety of audiences. So that's a way to segment. But then when we like launch something to that list, I advocate all the way to launch it to the entire list, because why not? You never know if somebody's been on your list for a year and they were interested in some other service, and now a year later you're launching your mastermind. Maybe they're ready. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. And it just saves you a lot of headache too. It's just launched the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And then when we've talked a lot about, I would say, like selling. So launching, evergreen, talking about our products and services. What other types of emails as a copywriter, what are other ways that you're engaging with your email list in between when we're selling?
Yeah. People want to know this question all the time. And so I think even if you're not selling something, like maybe your calendar is completely full and you're completely booked and you're not selling right now. So in that case, you could either be building a wait list for when your services open up again. I would always recommend that. You could also just, again, come back to that strategy of what you want your newsletter to be known for. What's the one thing people get when they're on there, or learn, or why do they want to be here? And you can send out like that education. You can collaborate and share other lead magnets with your list and work on list building in that time, community building. But honestly, I would always be driving them somewhere. Always have a call to action on it. Again, whether that's building the wait list for the next launch, so you can kind of gauge if you have interest, whether that's go to my podcast, or I'm in this collab, or listen to me speak over here, or here's some information for you. Those are just some ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then as a copywriter, do you write for your clients? We talked a lot about email marketing, but kind of another marketing channel. What advice do you have for writing social media copy?
Yeah. So I often will write an email and then we'll just change the call to action on the social media copy. So again, super lazy content creator, but I start with the email, and then if you want to make it into a blog, you can put a blog title on it. And if you want to make it into a social caption, you often can just change the call to action from, click here or reply to my email to DM me this word or comment this word to get the link, or however your call to action is in that social media caption. So I really follow a really similar flow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I'm just always curious how we can repurpose or what copywriters are recommending in terms of, having our email copy, which we talked a lot about. And then it's also, I know something that some of our members struggle with is, okay, well, I wrote all this email copy, or I'm always focused on email marketing. What about getting new leads? And one of the channels that they use is social media. And then I see them somewhat struggle there. And I love your advice. Just repurpose, take copy, but switch it around, know the platform that you're working with, and utilize the copy that you've already written just in a different way. I love that. You said lazy, but I'm like, I think it's an act, it's repurposing. It's taking one piece of content. And it's what I always recommend, even when it comes to if you're creating a YouTube video, a podcast episode, a freebie, whatever it is, try to break it into multiple pieces of content, repurpose that content, or multiple ways of consuming it across multiple channels. So I always like to get the opinions of copywriters there, because I know some are very like, no, you need to write for the platform and it be different and write for email marketing. So thank you for sharing your perspective.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think always write for the reader, right? And you can also use your social media to, again, grow the list, right? You can be like, today on my email list, I'm giving 5 tips on how to design your website. Here's 2. If you want the rest, join my newsletter, right? So you can kind of hint that way and grow your email community and also serve your social media audience at the same time.
Yeah, love that hook. Such a great hook. So as we're wrapping up here, I just have one more question for you, which I ask all of our attendees, all of our podcast guests. How has starting your own business led to more freedom and fulfillment in your life?
Yeah, just in ways I could never imagine, really. I really just wanted to work from home and be here for my kids. And my kids are all in school now, but I wanted to make $200 extra a month. That was my first goal, because I wanted to put my daughter in dance lessons. And I live in the middle of nowhere in South Dakota. There's 200 people in my town, right? A lot of women here. We build our own way, and otherwise we drive an hour to and from work every night to get somewhere where we can work, or we work like long hours. And the fact that I can work Monday through Thursday while my kids are in school, if one of them's sick, I'm home. I can slow down in the summer and be here with them. Yeah, sometimes I get emotional. It's like lost on me sometimes what a huge gift that is. And so I'm really thankful. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So beautiful. I always love hearing the answers to that question. And I think it's always so unique and different to each individual and what we value most. And that's what we always are seeking freedom and fulfillment to do or embrace or have or be. So thank you so much. And for those who are listening, where can they connect with you after this podcast episode?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Jenny Roth Copywriting. That's my website too, jennyrothcopywriting.com. Those are the best places to find me. You can find links to podcasts and all that stuff on the website.
Fantastic. Amazing. Well, thank you for being here today, Jenny. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you for having me, Shay.
You're so welcome. And thank you to all of our listeners again for tuning in to another episode of the Freedom Filled Life podcast. I will see you in the next one.